here to tell you a story. But like all good movies, it does not start with a protagonist. Instead, let's go somewhere else. Once upon a time, the OTP team announced the release of BASM that brought JIT compiler support for x86 architecture. This was the year 2020. It was OTP 24, and it was a very, very important release that brought major performance improvement. There's a talk from Lucas Larsson that suggested that RabbitMQ could perform, it could send between 30 and 50% more messages per second. I hear a lot of echo here. Is it? You hear it too? Is that okay? Because it's really hard for me. This is better, yeah? You still hear me? Can we go a little bit more, lower? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. So RabbitMQ could perform anywhere between 30 and 50% more messages per second. And now think about it. Think about your deployment in your company. Think about using half of the hardware. Think about coming to your manager and say, hey, I'm using half of the hardware now. I am halving your cost of your infrastructure. I use less energy to operate your data center. And I'm saving the planet while doing that. However, back then, 2020, most of the world was moving to ARM. So BASM wanted to move to ARM too. The OTP team also said on that release that they needed help for releasing BASM to the ARM architectures, which back then were increasingly becoming popular because Apple has just released their M1 chip on their MacBooks, and Raspberry Pi was also ARM64. Amazon was launching their ARM architecture, which was really cheaper and was performing so much better. We were actually moving to that ARM architecture ourselves. But having that support, that BMS support for ARM would not be free, as in beer. So what could we do? The EEF, the Erlang Ecosystem Foundation, was there to help. A board member called Jose Valim pinged Peter Kowalik-Sek, the author of ASM JIT library, and the OTP team, and talked to the OTP team, and they figured out if they could collaborate to make that ERM support happen. And it turned out the ERM support was pretty advanced in ASM JIT, but they needed still a few months of development. And the OTP team said they were very interested and they will help to get all the pieces together. The EEF accepted to support this project economically for a few months, and that really kicked off the work from Peter. And with that grant, he was able to put the time into ASM JIT for ARM64. And therefore, now the Erlang virtual machine also runs faster with JIT on ARM64 architectures. OTP 25 was released including JIT support, bringing major CPU savings to the world. According to my friends, engineers from Nextroll that were running on Amazon ARM, they were really able to turn down 25% of their infrastructure when they moved to this OTP 24 and 25, bringing a lot of money in savings. And also think about in your day-to-day, if you are like me and they use a MacBook, that means you can also run your code faster, which means you can be more efficient at your work, or also means that you have less time to catch up on Reddit or on the news, which is maybe not the best, but whatever. Anyway, and dev devices also want to be faster and energy efficient. So the EEF is also funding both being ASM and ASM JIT support for ARM32 architectures. Because we want to run, and because while in dev devices do not necessarily need faster code, it actually helps because when you have faster coding in dev devices, you have lower power consumption, which means you have a longer battery life, which is hugely important, but it also your device does not heat as much. So it's also really great. So who are we? We are the Erlang Ecosystem Foundation, a nonprofit registered in California. We are focused on anything that runs on the beam. That's Erlang, Elixir, LFE, Glim, anything, all the things. We have this is outdated. We have 70,000 members, 1,700 members, and this is our 5th year anniversary. We are all volunteers here. Nobody's getting paid for being here. It's not me. And anybody of the community can join. We have a free basic membership tier, but the paid membership or volunteering gets you voting rights if you wanna do that. And who am I? I am an Erlang engineer. I've been doing this for more than 16 years. I work all over the world in all kinds of infrastructure. And I'm one of the founding members, and I'm also an active board member of the foundation. And I want to, please, if you are a member of the foundation, I'd like you to raise your hand so we all know who you are. And thank you. This is our board. We have board elections every year. So every year we renew a third of our board. And the next one is coming really soon, so stay tuned if you want to vote to decide who the new board members are. And also, if you yourself want to become part of our board, you can also become a member and apply. And this is a voting with all the voting members of our foundation. They will decide it in the next few months. But what does the EEF really do? So we really gather money from the community and from companies, and then we put that money to work into projects that will make a difference in our community. And then as a return, when the projects get done, that benefits the whole community. It benefits the companies because they get to operate faster, and it benefits our day-to-day because we are more happy in our development with the tools we do. This is our other sponsors at the moment. Thank you so much to all of them for that. And thank you to all of your members, which is really everybody of you. And I would love to put the face and the names of everybody, but privacy doesn't let me put the faces and names. So if you are there, thank you so much. You know who you are. We are organized in a very similar way to the Python Foundation by dividing our challenges into working groups. Now, let's look at each of the working groups in detail. Just kidding. But check them out, please check them out. Go to the URL and check them out. But what are we doing? Like, what have we done? This has been 5 years. So you guys wonder, what other things have we done? This JIT project is very cool, but yeah. So let's go through some of those projects very quickly. I'm not going to bore you. The first one I'm going to talk about this is secure coding guidelines that the security working group has done. It's really a website where they gather a lot of the best practices and coding guidelines for developing applications that are based on the Beam. It's a fascinating read. Some of the stuff you know, some of the stuff is new. It's provided both to Erlang and Elixir. I highly recommend you check that out. And this work has not been sponsored. It's purely volunteer, so that makes it great. Another one is OpenTelemetry, led by Tristan Slaughter and the Observability Working Group. And what they did, as you know, OpenTelemetry is a collection of tools used to collect telemetry data like metrics, logs, and traces to help analyze your software behavior and check how things are going in production and detect if there is any incident. And while Erlang was very ahead in the beginning with this implementation, then it lagged behind. So with this grant, we brought it up to speed. We made tracing stable and production ready. They're working on metrics, they're working on documentation. And this is very important because having a standard and using the standard OLTP, it's called a standard, we can be vendor agnostic. So it opens up to all sorts of new tools and unified observability and maybe change your provider if you're unhappy of how much you're paying. You can do all that. And it's worth to note that their Elixir implementation works on top of the Erlang one. So you can also, it's a good example of how while funding this project, we avoid reinventing the wheel. OpenID is another one of my favorites, made by Jonathan Manchin. There is a talk tomorrow at 11:45 about this topic if you want to hear more. But basically, he got OpenID is a standard for single sign-on, which is a standard in the industry. You can just use your Google or Yahoo or Opera account for logging into services, both at a business environment or in your personal environment. And with this project, we managed to rebuild the library from scratch, write a complete specification, we added optional security features, and we got the library officially certified. So it can become the standard of the Erlang and Elixir ecosystem. Since we released this, it has been increasingly used, so it's a good thing for the whole ecosystem. XDoc is a documentation tool that got also a lot of love from Jose Balim and the Building and Packaging Working Group, and they did improvements on the navigation and search bar. And also, it will be released in Erlang in OTP 27, so we're going to have much better navigation as well, so that's good. And it was really an investment in the whole community in that regard. And the last project I'm going to mention today, super quickly, is when RELX was built into rebar, and they did a lot of cleanup while doing so, which made our release and tar command go much faster and run much correctness, which actually saved us time in our day-to-day while we do releases. I see some of you signing, so you probably have felt it and you know that. So yeah, that saves time. What have we also done? We help community where they need it. We help separate our community in the things that could be like it could be supporting the forums that we use every day. We help support conferences and podcasts. We do travel stipends for speakers when they need it. We do contest prizes for SwarmFest. And we have a student and diversity program that I'm particularly proud of because I am leading that one, which has actually helped send student diversity, people with disabilities, people who could otherwise not afford to attend conferences for free all around the world. This is all the blue areas are areas where we have people that have participated in this program. And offering diversity tickets, it's very easy as long as you have the money. But the hard part is ensuring that they go to the right people. We have allowed so far 680 individuals from all around the world in this program to attend all these conferences for free. And I want to note that this is also a huge effort from the organizers of the conferences because they often allow us to do these tickets at a no cost, but sometimes it's a marginal cost, which is also a huge effort on their side because they're cutting on their own benefit, but for the benefit of the community. And we have many other ongoing projects. Not going to get into those. I promise I will do my best to have them all listed on the website in the few upcoming weeks so you can check them out and get familiarized with them. So what's next? When I look back in all the 5 years, we really had a slow start in the beginning. We had difficulties to find sponsors and the slow growth, and then came the pandemic and everything froze. We lose a lot of disengagement from our working groups, and we lost some of the sponsors because of the difficulties. But the things that we have recovered since things have changed, our members keep growing, our grant program is really popular nowadays, and we have a great number of sponsors. We live in a very unique time in which we have more talent than ever in the market because people have time between jobs to work on the open source libraries that they've been meaning to work, but they just don't have the time to do before. And therefore, the number of requests we have received have increased. In the year 2023, last year, we had 3 times more grants than the previous year, and we keep growing at this rate. So we are starting to feel on the edge to be forced to be a little bit more selective and slowing the pace in which we can improve. We have to really start thinking about how we can balance out what's coming in, what we can do. And therefore, we need more funding, and we need your help to make that funding. And here, my ask to you all is, as your company, to be a sponsor of the foundation and become yourself a member. Being a member is free on the basic tier, and of course, you can help. Also, being a supporting member by paying a membership, or also donating your time to the foundation, join some of the working groups, and help bring all these initiatives come to life. And that will help keep projects like the JIT on ARM and OpenID and the documentation going. That will help us all. And also another reminder, if you have a project that needs funding and you think it would be cool for the foundation, please reach out, submit a stipend request, reach out to any of the boards, any of the working groups. We have a Slack group that you can join and make that request. And you can also visit our website, apply for a grant, join the foundation, become a sponsor, become a member. I'm just repeating all the things. You can even become a new board member in the next election and join us. Remember, we have a booth on the main room. And so you have questions, you can pass by. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miriam.
One question. If the board members are here, if you want to join me on stage, the ones who want to join me, you are very welcome. And even have a lot of We're very lucky we have many here. Others are...
There's a few of us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like others are in Europe, others are sleeping, others are remote. Hi to the remote.
Yes.
We have...
No? Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Questions?
Any hard questions, ask us.
There's no questions in the Whova app, so if anyone has any, raise your hand. Let me bring you the mic.
Let's say, for example, somebody wanted to start a new working group. How does that process work?
You ask the board
Need-
for starting a new working group.
Yeah.
If there's on the website, if you go to the working groups, there's like a form that you can fill out too. I think you have to like actually fill it out. I don't think it's like a web form, but then submit that to the board.
And I think,
And we may have the same ideas, so we should talk.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So go to our website or get in touch. There's a form for applying, right? Yeah, I'm just repeating for the remote because you don't have mic. Yeah.
and I think what you'll find with working groups is that you bring together a lot of like-minded people who are kind of often, solving the same problem in their own little silos. So it all starts with meetings, maybe bi-weekly meetings, where you go in, you brainstorm, you look at ideas, and then from there you move on. And as the work group becomes active, if there are stipend proposals which come in around that space, they get passed on to the work group for their opinions and comments. And often, you're also welcome to Sherpa them and lead them through the whole process. Until they get delivered. So I think a lot of working groups are also responsible for a lot of the stipend requests. So they look for funding, to implement some of those ideas. Yeah.
Are there any projects that the Ecosystem Foundation would love to fund if only someone would come forward with a proposal and willingness to do the work?
I think everyone has their pet projects. I would love. I personally would love interoperability. So there's been an interoperability work group, but they've come up with ideas, but they've never really started the funding. But there's a need for a standard which all of the languages on the beam need to follow in some shape or form, which then allows you to seamlessly call each other. And we know it's easy from Elixir to Erlang. It's a bit harder in the opposite direction, and this is, and the same applies, to any new languages on the beam coming along. I think, we're still waiting for something to come which will be bigger than Elixir, and it might happen someday. Who knows?
Yeah. Francesco, please fill the form.
The working group already
You want to work on it?
I might.
Yeah, but. Robert Verding has a lot of good ideas. So Mariano Guerra has written kind of a document and an approach to what could be done. So maybe it's time to revive that working group and start talking and start driving it forward. And what you'll find is we would probably be interested in sponsoring a thesis project around it. Who knows? I don't know if you guys have any work groups you guys would like to see.
No, I don't.
No.
He's done it. He's got the embedded work group. He's happy.
I got all my work groups.
He's got his work group.
I'd like to see a healthcare work group. There's a lot of protocols and things that are healthcare specific, and multiple healthcare companies using Elixir and Erlang, and it's really powerful to be able to use the beam within healthcare to help save lives because the equipment stays running, which is really nice. So I'd like to see a working group start up around all the healthcare things where these companies can start to share their ideas a little better.
It's probably so big.
There's a lot. I think I work at a company that has a healthcare HL7 library that's public, but I think it would actually be better to be maintained by a working group of lots of companies.
Pierre, you got anything to say?
Yeah. Well,
I'm always upset that I don't have Pierre's shirt because he always has the best shirts.
you can't get this one either anymore. eBay maybe. I don't need any new working group because kind of like all of the working groups I want to actually work in exist already. Security, education, embedded. So keeps me busy here already.
Yeah, there's one thing I'd like to say is, go in, get your employers to come in and join as sponsors, because yes, as Miriam was saying, and it's not a lot of money for many of them, and there are different tiers depending on the size and turnover, but all the money we get gets diverted straight to stipends. There is overheads around market communications, infrastructure, and so on, but that's not much. The main parts all goes back to fund all of these proposals which do come in.
Yeah, and that actually segues into my question is, what is a good way of pitching to our employers that joining the foundation is good for them?
It's a way of giving back. You're using free open source tools which are being funded by Ericsson, and the wider community. But there are areas which there are areas which are not always of a priority to Ericsson and to others. And I think we heard about the JIT compiler, for example, today. And so these are some of the projects which get funded. Where Ericsson might not have any interest in it, and so it's not that they don't want to, but they won't get the budget for it. And so that's one way. Another is visibility. A lot of companies, do it to get the logo displayed and to get more visibility. So usually it's the marketing department or the recruitment department, the recruiters. And some are just doing it to say thank you. Here's money, don't bother me. We know you'll put it to good use. So those are the three main tiers, yeah.
I'd like to add a little bit to that. The open source development things, for a lot of companies, it's you get to take advantage of this and you get like this group buying ability that makes it cheaper for you to get large leaps forward, because instead of somebody working on it a couple of hours a week or a month, they maybe get a stipend and spend 3 or 4 months full-time working on things. And then if you're in a large enough company, a lot of those have charitable giving that they're trying to reach a specific level, and we are a 501(c), so it counts as charitable giving. Like the company that I'm working with, I can volunteer and get paid, so I get paid for our meetings. And then also for every 10 hours that I work, my company will donate money to a charity of my choice. So it works out really well.
I hate to cut you all off. I think we're actually out of time. So let's give it up for Miriam and the rest of the foundation.